We're coming up on an animal.
I don't know, man.
If it was an animal, predator or otherwise, it would have a heat signature in this cold.
Yeah. Whatever it was that we just saw over there, it moved off or disappeared with no sound, no tracks. It's just weird.
Bigfoot is an elusive creature that has been known to be physical, but when you get deep into the rabbit hole of sightings and reports, you start hearing about all the strange details that surrounds it. Before we get started, I just want to say welcome back to another Late Night Strange. And today's topic, we are going to be talking about the strange side of Bigfoot that no one likes talking about. Not even Bigfooters, YouTubers, or podcasters, because it is not a sexy topic. Even though there's a lot of reports on the strange side of Bigfoot, not much evidence are out there supporting these claims. The topic around Bigfoot is already strange enough as is. To add on to this, I'll be telling some stories about a Bigfoot-like creature that I grew up hearing about from my parents and the older generations of my culture. And that creature is what we call Pinyon Vai, the spiritual Bigfoot that brings death to family members when the men are out hunting in the jungles of Laos. I'll tell these stories after some accounts, so let's get started on some of these stories. Let's get started. A man by the name of Ronnie LeBlanc had a very strange encounter with a dimensional shifting beast in the woods when he was about 12 years old, and to this day he is convinced that Bigfoot is more than just a flesh and blood animal. In his own words, he said, "There was a particular trail that I've always avoided as a kid. It always had a dark, ominous feeling to it. It would be a beautiful day, and then when you looked down this trail, it looked dark. There were two trees on either side, and it just felt like this prehistoric gate welcoming me into this place. As I started going down this trail with my bike, I could hear the bike squealing and noticed that there were no other sounds in the forest. Nothing. No animal, bird, or any signs of life. I was standing there in total silence, there with my feet on the ground, and all of a sudden, something comes crashing through the woods right in front of me, and I could feel the ground vibrate in the sole of my feet. To me, it sounded like an elephant crashing in the woods right near me. It was pushing the trees and shrubs down, went across the trail, and onto the other side, but I couldn't see anything. I was so scared I couldn't move. Once it stopped, I pedaled out of there as fast as I could and never went back." Interestingly enough, according to LeBlanc, there's been numerous reports of people having similar or hearing something large crashing through the trees or even seeing brush get pushed aside, yet have been unable to see what was causing it. LeBlanc has theorized that whatever is behind such sightings is perhaps cloaking itself or can dematerialize at will or passing through portals between two different realities. This theory would perhaps point to Bigfoot being something more than a large, undiscovered biological entity. LeBlanc would then say, "I would say Bigfoot is something that's more interdimensional, almost spiritual kind of a realm that has the ability to manifest itself." I started off chasing an ape, a flesh and blood animal, and now I'm thinking something else. As you dig deeper into Bigfoot, you start talking about cloaking and the fact that they can vanish before people's eyes. And these stories go back hundreds of years where all of a sudden, this creature cornered and the track just disappeared in the open field, like something just came out and picked it up and took it away. A lot of people are talking about these similar encounters that I had. So there is a belief that Bigfoot can be alien or interdimensional, and it sounds crazy, like something out of a science fiction movie. But when you think about it, we have this preconceived notion that an alien has to be gray or green. People have seen Bigfoot holding an orb. They look like a basketball with the plasma swirling around it, and they're silent. I've just seen them hovering over the skies and just blanked out and disappear. There are a lot of different theories about Bigfoot, but the reality is something is happening. People are seeing them. They are leaving tracks. According to LeBlanc, the area has been a hotspot of Bigfoot sightings going all the way back to 1884, with earlier settlers even complaining that the creature would attack and kill their livestock, as well as reports from various other strange phenomenons such as UFO, shadow people, strange beings, and balls of light. And there are quite a few reports along the lines of an apparent Bigfoot just blinking out of existence. The one thing that intrigues me the most about this story, and many others, is how the forest goes completely silent.
2 waves. Holy crap, dude, this trail goes on forever. It just got really quiet really fast.
And for those of you who's never experienced this before, it is extremely creepy. Majority of the time, crickets and animals will actually stop making noise when there's a predator in the area. But this is something else entirely different. If there's wind, the wind will stop also. It is as if everything around you went mute, and all you can hear is your own breathing and heart pounding. And yes, me and my brother have experienced this while we went fishing at night. And as the sun was setting, he kept blabbering his mouth about this cryptid, or this little people in our culture as we call a bunzong. And I told him multiple times, do not say that over and over again. And he kept saying that, you know what, if this bunzong came, I won't be scared at all. He kept saying that over and over and over. Remind you that this guy just came out of prison and he wasn't scared of anything. And I told him, you know, that's nothing that you should be joking around about. Because just like the Navajo culture, they can't say the word skinwalker. And we believe that if you say their names too much, or else if you call upon them too many times, they will come. And that's exactly what happened. So we were fishing for walleyes on the small river mouth that opened up into a lake. As it got darker, we talked about staying a few more hours past nightfall to catch the night bite. He said, you know what would be creepy? If we saw a bunzong. Right when he said that, I said, don't you dare say that again. He then went on and started saying he's not scared if he saw one, and by that point, I was done with the conversation. Right when I said that, the forest went completely silent. And I'm not even shitting you guys right now. This is by far one of the most creepiest things that I have personally experienced. And my brother experienced it right next to me also. He could vouch for this. But as the forest went quiet, before that, we could hear the river, we could hear the leaves rustling, we could hear just what you would hear at nighttime, crickets chirping and stuff like that. But everything was all quiet. And I looked at him, and I just felt all my hair rise behind my neck and, you know, on my arms. And I looked at him, I was like, do you feel that? And right when I said that, something came from on top of the hill. Because right across the river, what happens is, like, there was this fallen tree that was right in front of us. There's this fallen pine tree. And right across from there, as you go up, you're actually walking up a hill. And something came from on top of the hill, and it was bipedal. So when it came down that hill, it was coming down as if it was trying to creep up on us or creep up on something. And the craziest part about the story is that when it came down that hill, it tiptoed like it was coming down, but it came down very slowly. So this happened within like 5-10 minutes. It just came down, 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 down. And the most creepiest thing about that also is when it came down, it went right behind that fallen pine tree, right across from us. And right when it did that, I just kind of looked at my brother and was just like, do you see it? And he was like, no, I can't see anything. And I was like, take out your phone and start recording just in case if it pops his head out or something, you know, or is somebody hiding behind there. And we just kept looking, and then it just got darker and darker and darker. And it just came right behind that tree and just kind of stopped. And just kind of like, you could feel it. You could feel like something staring at you while it was hiding behind that. It was just the most creepiest thing that I've ever experienced. I looked to my brother. He's on my right. I looked to him and I'm just like, we got to get the heck out of here, man. And he's like, yep, I agree. So he started drilling all his poles, and I started grabbing all my buckets and my minnow buckets. In our culture, we believe that every single time you encounter these entities or these cryptids out in the forest, you always want to say you're going to go to the store, because that kind of tricks them, saying that, okay, you're going to be coming back, so they won't follow you. And that's what we did. We said, we're going to go to the store and we'll be right back. The forest going completely silent is extremely creepy, but the presence and whatever that was hiding behind that tree, how we could just feel it staring at us. There was this heavy feeling of dread that came over me and my brother, and that's what freaked us out. It was extremely weird, and we can't explain it. We didn't pack up our stuff and took off, and that was it. But going back to what we said about going to the store, and we'll be right back. That phrase or that saying wasn't just us making that up. It was actually passed down by our parents and our ancestors who lived back in Laos in the jungles, who have encountered a lot of these cryptids and these entities in the forest. And there's actually a lot of phrases that they use before they enter the forest, sleep in the forest, eat in the forest, or else, just going home from the forest, But let me give you some example really quick. So before anybody, especially in our culture, we enter the forest, we ask this forest spirit, or the Ju is what we call it, to grant us permission to go in there. And we kind of tell them what we do or why we are here. We tell them we only here to hunt or fish, and for them to not bother us and to protect us, and so on and so on and so on. And then we go in the woods and we do our thing. We come back and that's it. But if we do plan to eat in the forest, what we do is we actually, when we cook up the food, or else if we packed food or something like that, we will actually invite them to come eat with us. It's kind of weird. You don't want them to follow you, but we're inviting them to come eat with us. It's a sign of respect for the forest spirit. So we kind of invite them to come eat with us and to acknowledge that, hey, we're here as a friend and we're a foe, and we're not here to harm anything at all. So here, come eat with us like friends and family. So we will do that, set the spoon aside, and go back and finish our eating, and that's it. For me, when I get done fishing, I will actually thank the forest for providing me with this food today, and then I'll just leave. I think that's the secret to catching a lot of fish. Now let's talk about the creature known as Pinyon Vai, one of the most feared creatures or cryptid in the Hmong culture. So the Pinyon Vai is a creature in Hmong folklore that has been reported to be a shape-shifting Bigfoot that stands roughly around 4 to 6 feet tall. It is an ape-like creature that has jet black hair with a red belly. It's mainly reported to have a protruding stomach and very bulky. This creature has been seen majority of the time when the man goes out hunting and stays in the jungles overnight, or on the trails when the woman comes back from the gardens up in the mountains. Pinyon Vai is also known in our culture to be supernatural and can shapeshift, appear and disappear within the blink of an eye, create storms by howling, and mimic the voices of your friends and family to lure you into the forest. They are always seen by themselves in many parts of the jungles. That's why we believe the Pinyon Vai is the guardian of the forest, and each one protects different sections of the land. The man that goes out to the forest for many days to hunt usually comes back with bone-chilling stories of these creatures. Those who make it back to tell the stories, at least. That is why there are strict rules put in place today, as we still use it in modern times. So those rules are, if you ever go to the forest, always go in even numbers. The thought behind this is as long as each person has a partner, you'll be fine from any spiritual attachments or cryptid attachments that will follow you home. Whether it be shadow people, Pinyon Vai, little people, or what we call punzong, if you decide to sleep in the forest, always sleep in a triangle or away from each other if you go in odd numbers. There's always been many cases out there where hunters will sleep side by side, and in the middle of the night, the person that sleeps in the middle will end up going missing. Days later, this person will either be found dead with no injuries whatsoever or in a state of confusion. The person found dead would always end up having their innards missing, as if something reached right through them, took their hearts out and organs without penetrating the skin at all. Very strange. There's also been many stories of hunters waking up, finding the middle person sitting by the campfire, acting very strange. And when I say strange, it is as if this person isn't this person, and something else is trying to mimic this person. The Pinyon Vai creature has been talked about so much in the village that when hunters encounter this kind of situation where one of their own is acting strange around the campfire, or let's say that if one of them goes missing, they will actually know how to react, and this is how they will handle this situation. There are 3 ways hunters will handle this. They will either cook up hot chili peppers, creating this strong pepper smell which will deter the creatures or reveal it. If you guys have never cooked up pepper in a frying pan, it makes a very strong odor smell. Or the other way is they will actually, believe it or not, pee in the bamboo and boil it over the fire. I'm not even making this up. And the third way is if the hunters knew that this person that was acting strange was not one of their own, they would either tie the person up or in some rare occasions shoot the person right then and there. And majority of the time the creature will then make a horrible screech, jump up and run off into the forest. If that happens, the hunters will then make up these huge torches to go look for the missing individuals. Most of the times that individual is never found. But let's say that they shot this person and it was actually one of their own and they're just acting crazy. Then that person has just been charged with murder. There's also many stories out there where hunters will go squirrel hunting in the forest. And when they go shoot the squirrel, by the time they go to retrieve it, they find something else like a monkey. So them being hungry, they got to bring something back home to their family to eat. They'll actually pick up the monkey, put it on their backs, and make the trek back home. And once when they get done cooking it, everybody who ate that monkey or whatever he brought back home will start puking blood and die mysteriously. And when this happens, they chalk this up to be the pinyon because the pinyon is known to be a creature that eats your innards, and that's all they like eating. And the theory behind this is that if you eat the pinyon and it's inside of you, it will start eating you from the inside out. That is why my parents and all the elders in our culture have said that if you shot something out in the forest and you suspect this to be a pinyon, let's say if I shot a squirrel and turned out to be a monkey, here in the United States we don't have monkeys, so that won't be a problem at all. But back in Laos they said that if you shot a squirrel and it turned out to be a monkey, and when you take it back home, the monkey is just pretending to be dead, but when you do start cooking it or start chopping it up, it will just still remain dead. When you start cooking it up, find the hottest chili pepper you have on hand and cook it with it. That way, when you do eat the pinyon, it won't eat your innards. It will actually die because of the pepper. Many stories like this revolves around the Hmong culture and their folklores about this pinyon creature. But there's also many rules out there too, like do not whistle at night, because that is like a mating call to attract all these demonic entities like the shadow people, pinyon, skinwalker, anything like that will actually come to you, especially little people. There's also many rules in the Hmong culture where if you do plan to sleep at night in the jungles or the forest, do not sleep on deer trails or animal trails, as this is not just a trail for animals, because we believe that spiritual entities use these trails as well. And there's also one more where if you actually do plan to sleep in the forest and there's really no good place to sleep at all, don't sleep up in the trees. Find one of the oldest tree. Ask this tree if this tree could protect you from any kind of bad entities that's around the forest. And when you do sleep, sleep right next to it underneath its trunk. But these are some of the superstitions and folklores, especially revolving around the pinyon creature. And I'm sure there's more stories out there revolving around the pinyon, but these are some of the main ones. If you ever get a chance to talk to any elders or the older generations of the Hmong culture, they will tell you exactly what I've just told you. And that is why I truly believe that there are two different types of Bigfoot out there, even though there are many species across the world. There is one that is physical and one that is spiritual, and the spiritual one is what we call the interdimensional being, just like the pinyon that my parents and all the elders always talked about. And the physical one, especially back in Laos, is what we call the rock ape. And that is all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this type of episode where I kind of bring in my culture perspective into the topic of Bigfoot, little people, or any future cryptids out there that I'll be telling. Remind you this, our parents and the older generations, they came from a third world country where they didn't have internet connection, telling them that there's Bigfoot or anything like that exists out there in the world. And they're telling these stories where they're running into these Bigfoot-like creatures, serpents, and little people without even knowing that there's a Bigfoot out there. And when they came here telling us all these stories during bedtime, I really thought they were just bedtime stories. And while growing up, hearing the stories about the modern day Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, big serpents, you name it, all the cryptids out there, I mean, comparing those stories to the stories that my parents told me during bedtime, I'm just like, holy crap, there's so many similarities between these stories. And when I do ask my parents, okay, are these creatures or these cryptids, are they real? They'll come out and say, yeah, they're actually real creatures that we used to encounter back in Laos. And I'm just like, holy crap, I gotta share this to the world. So here I am talking on a mic with everybody on YouTube. But that is all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you guys want me to put more of my culture perspective in future stories, be sure to like and subscribe. And I will see you guys all on the next episode of Late Night Strange. Goodbye, everybody. And like always, stay strange.